The bishop told me to be quiet and to behave myself. And I just took my head covering off. I threw it on the ground and I stomped on it and I told him I'm leaving. The Amish believe that the outside world is evil. So I fully believe that I had to be Amish. I 100% believe that. If I wasn't Amish, I would go to hell. That's what I'd been told basically my whole life. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, my stepfather got the idea that we should start dressing Amish, and by the time I was 10 years old, we were dressing in full Amish attire. My sister and I were isolated. We weren't allowed to talk to each other or to anyone else. And when I was 11 years old, we moved to a mountain ranch, and my sister and I were basically held prisoners there. When I was 19 years old, I tried to escape the ranch, and that's when my stepfather got the idea to send us to an Amish community. I went to live with the Amish, and 3.5 years later, I left the Amish after I was sexually abused by the bishop. I knew of several sexual abuse cases that were going on in the Amish, and they were not reported to the police. The perpetrators were allowed to just live among the church like regular people, and they had full access to their victims over and over again. I knew I couldn't tell anybody in the church because the victims are usually blamed. So I ended up going to the police because I was afraid he was molesting his children also. The Amish do not even consider themselves citizens of the United States. When you're Amish, basically your church, your government, your whole world is Amish. Not very many Amish leave. Leaving the Amish is extremely hard, like extremely hard. When I left the Amish, I felt I was being teleported from 1600s into the 21st century. I had grown up on a farm, getting up every morning at 5 o'clock. I really only knew gardening, taking care of animals, sewing, canning. Nothing that I knew or nothing that I had learned seemed helpful in the outside world. Many nights I cried. I felt like nobody understood me, and I didn't really understand anybody else. I had no identification. I didn't know how to get a job. I had about a 2nd or 3rd grade education. I had no idea where to start, but thankfully my stepdad's aunt, she took me under her wing, and she went to the congressman to get something signed so I could get a passport. That was my first form of identification. Transitioning into the modern world was extremely overwhelming. I still have nightmares that I am still Amish, that I never left, or that somebody's telling me I'm going to hell. Because I left the Amish, I was automatically shunned. Shunning means that you are basically set aside until you repent. My sister is in an Amish community in the Midwest, and it's been 12 years since I've seen her. 3 years ago, I wrote my memoir, Tears of the Silence, to raise awareness about child abuse and the importance of reporting suspected child abuse. And I also wrote about sexual abuse among the Amish. I think the best way to raise awareness is to educate the public. She told me that her and her sisters had reported their father to the police and that he was being investigated. The bishop was sentenced to 10 years in prison for child molestation. Adapting to the modern world took a long time. It didn't happen in 1 week or 2 weeks. I have the chance to help a lot of people, and that makes me very happy. I almost have a nursing degree. That is a dream come true for me, so life today is very good. It's better than I expected it to be when I left the Amish.